Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Resilient with your host, me, Wintertooth100. And in today's episode, we are going to be working on the Temple of Time. It is happening, that's in today's episode. But before we do that, there's a couple things I need to do. First, I want to talk about, we got all the pathways in. They're looking pretty great. There's two paths, and that's it, that aren't done. And that is this one leading to the strongman competition site shop thing, and then the other one is this path in here for the courtyard for the Temple of Time, because I wanted to make sure I had plenty of space for this project here, and so that's just kind of how that worked out. We're getting very nearly done with this place. We're gonna have to do something with the water so it doesn't look so bland, and of course the temple itself. I've been sitting in a creative world all morning plotting this thing out, trying to figure out how we're gonna do it, and I think I've settled on a good design. Oh no, not to me. And it's going to involve a lot of terracotta, so I need to go to a mesa biome and collect a couple of shulker boxes worth of that, and then I need to pick up all of my andesite because that's going to be used a lot here as well. So I'm going to do a quick resource gathering mission, and I will see you guys right back here in just a moment. Alright, so I've collected all the materials that we will hopefully need for this. We mostly aren't using a lot of stone, but we are using a lot of stone bricks. We're also using a lot of terracotta. And our biggest resource that we're using, I think, is going to be both versions of andesite and the smooth stone. Those will be the two biggest uses we have. There's also a bunch for the roof bits that is going to be nether brick, so we will have to take a break in between building this to go collect some, well, nether brick so we can have the stairs for it. So we're gonna just jump right into it. The first thing that needs to be done is putting in the foundation, which will be all made out of this stone, just like this, but it will come out one block all around like this, and we're just going to fill it in, and that'll be our very first layer. So, well, let's fill it in. And with that base layer in, we are going to attempt to build the pillars. They should be fairly straightforward. They are essentially 7 blocks for the pillar part, if that makes sense. So we don't count the first layer we're on, we count only the normal andesite, not the polished andesite. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then cap it. I believe that's right. I'll have to double check, but I'm almost positive that that's correct. And we're going to bring all of them up to that height, except for this guy. This guy will actually get removed, and this will be replaced with the smooth stone because this is going to be the entrance to the place. And I got a little bit carried away there. I just finished up building the walls. They have some detail in them, so they look pretty interesting, but there's more to it. I probably shouldn't have let myself get so carried away because there is another detail to these things that I just skipped, and I shouldn't have skipped them, but right here and right here on both sides, there's little tower things that they're like giant pillar versions of these really thin ones, and yeah, I just unnecessarily put in the detail and work into the sections on both sides. It's completely unnecessary because they're just gonna get covered up just like this. Huh, okay, well, let me fix that mistake real quick. And with that mistake fixed, I also should point out that these pillars, the thin ones, are only 7 blocks total, including the caps. So it's 5 normal andesite and 2 polished to make the 7 in height. I figured that out and I fixed those. So this is what the big pillars kind of look like so far. There's more to them. Right now we've pretty much reached the first level where, well, let's see if we can get a good look at it. We've reached the first level where we're going to start getting a rim of the nether brick stairs. So I actually do need to run all the way to the nether and see if I have stored a bunch of the spare nether bricks that I mined out forever ago for the wither farm. So I'll be right back with those, hopefully. Not only did I have a bunch of the nether stuff, pretty good haul that I had there. We got the first lip of it put around. Now we're going to take each of the 6 tower things, and they come up one more layer, and then they get their roof on top of them. So it's not a terribly tall building. And then the front here, again, if we can get a decent look at it, which we might find difficult. Oh, that's not so bad. It looks funny, and as I was building it in the creative world, I kept thinking to myself, oh man, I'm gonna have to tear this apart. I'm gonna have to try something else. But it turned out to be okay, and I just realized that I haven't turned my render distance back up. But yeah, it looks good when it's done, trust me. So you'll see this tower on this side, you'll see this one on this side, and then in the middle there's another part that has its own roof. So it kind of looks a bit like a cathedral. So I'm going to put these 6 towers on and start on the body of the next thing, the center part, and then we'll take a look at it so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. This is like the weirdest way I've ever built something with you guys, isn't it? Where I just say I'm going to do something and then it cuts immediately to that thing being done. We are still missing the wood parts of the roof. We just have the frames, but they're on top of each of the tower things. There's a pointy roof, and then on top of this big main thing, there's another pointy roof thing. There's also a door, and inside of the cathedral Temple of Time build thing that this kind of is turning out to be, there's nothing planned. I have not built the inside because I wasn't exactly sure where to center things around with the bedrock. So the inside is a complete fair game, totally not designed at all, and all I know for certain that I want to do with it is the glazed terracotta floors to make it, feel really clean. We might do that, like some glazed terracotta designs like around the edges, and then do like a white marble look in the center, just this pure paleness or whatever. And then we're gonna have to design how to create the entrance to the little dungeon bit here, which I'm not sure how we're gonna do that exactly yet. But let me put this big door in place and the roofs on top of each of the points and the body of it itself. So once we have that done, once we come back, those will be complete, and we can start thinking about what the inside is going to look like. Okay, I just wanted to start from the far side of Kakariko Village. Look, you can already see it poking its little pillars over the treetops. It's successfully done exactly what I was hoping it would do. It's practically visible from just about everywhere in the village, except for some specific cases, like, of course, we're getting ourselves put into a corner here, so of course we can't see it. But you're just out and about, doing your business, checking out, talking to villagers. You come out and then there it is. You can see it through the trees. You can see it just kind of looms over everything. Really excited about it. Turned out pretty great. And we're gonna go take a look at the inside real quick. Okay, that took a little prep. I meant to, just get straight over there, but then I realized I should probably have some of the materials on me that we're gonna actually be building with. During that 10 minutes though, I was waiting for these things to smelt. I preemptively put in some stuff. These are supposed to, hopefully you guys can recognize these. The 3 parts of the Triforce? I think it kind of looks like it. But this is the inside. Obviously, the outside is a facade, right? It's meant to look a certain way to evoke a certain feeling. The inside needs a facade too, and I'm not sure what it's gonna be yet. Whatever it is, we can adjust the floor that we're about to install, because when we do the inside facade, obviously we're going to be putting blocks on the inside to make it look nice in here, and then wherever we've put the blocks that we're about to place, they're going to need to be moved. But I've been playing with this one a little bit, and I think I found a pattern that I like with it, but I was thinking along the edges of the inside would be this pattern, so we get the zigzag, or alternatively we can get this pattern, that little flower with each of the little triangles, and I think that could look pretty neat as well. Either way, whichever one we go with, I think we're gonna fill in the rest of it with just pure white concrete, and that way we can have like like what I was trying to convey earlier, a marble floor. And, ooh, actually, no, because we got a center point. I was going to say that actually looks pretty good in the center like that. But we have a center point and we can't ignore the center point. So let me figure out the inside of this. I think we're probably going to do some, like, what's it, arcs or arches? I think it's arches. Arches across the inside. And we want it to feel very much like a temple of time and not so much like a church, because it's kind of coming across as like a church at the moment. So when you enter this thing, we want it to feel like it's like the temple of time. Hopefully we can also figure out when we do the interior facade where we're going to include the entrance to the actual dungeon bit of it. Remember, the dungeon is not going to have any mobs in it or bosses or anything. It's purely a skill-based dungeon, and that's things like parkour, maybe a mental one as well, maybe solve a puzzle. You know, we could do things like that, but whatever it is, we can't include any kind of mobs because of the biome we're in. And then at the very end, we'll be able to put in the Master Sword. We won't be able to put the Master Sword in right away because, well, I don't have those tools yet. And so we can't do anything with the special items until we have the special items. But let me figure out this interior and then we'll take a look at it and talk about what I may or may not have done at this point. Alright guys, let's wrap up this episode, shall we? Let's start on the outside. I finished the wall all the way around and fixed this corner so it's not overhanging over the water anymore. So that's a big plus. But we make our way in and it's got surprisingly quite minimalist. It feels like there's a lot, but because of this big open white space, it feels very empty in here, very minimalist. I feel like I want to add a little bit more shape to that instead of them being flat cut off. But apart from that, I really like how these turned out. We got the arches in and they expand all the way across. We got all the lights hanging out. We didn't really need all the lights, but we have them anyway. We have this awesome, looks like a double door that's kind of swung open a little bit on both ends. And we have the zigzag pattern as much as we can. So you see right here, the zigzag couldn't meet up. So there's a zigzag here and a zigzag here. And then they both split on the same spot. And then they zigzag together, both of them on both sides. And the same on the far end. And since this is a build that's built on odd spaces, there is a white gap between the two glazed terracottas on both sides. We come through, we got our Triforces in the floor. Pressure plate will take us home. There's two areas that actually aren't accessible. Not by design, mostly by accident. So I think I'm gonna put something in here and just kind of block this off and make it look like it's, you know, there's nothing going on in there. Because it's probably super unimportant. But you notice one of these towers actually takes us to a door, and the other ones take us to what look like doorways. And so my thought is, we can, you know, the player will show up, they will arrive right exactly here. I removed the bedrock because it wasn't necessary, but they'll arrive exactly right here, facing this direction. I don't know why but you know, they just face this direction. It's probably north. Yes, it's north. And you know, so they can explore this way or go out this way. Either way, the main gate will be closed, so they won't be able to get out of town. But if they come back in here to explore, they might realize that there's a door here. And so my thought is to do something along the lines of, you go out here and we'll put something out here. You know, we'll make it, you know, maybe a tree in here, a custom tree possibly, some grass, like actual grown grass, some paths maybe. But we're going to hide something back here. A button or a switch or something will be hidden in this courtyard. And that switch will open up, you know, for convenience sake, we'll just do them in order. It'll open this door, and we'll be like, because this is an iron door, right? Because we can't get through normally. Then we can flip this switch, and when we flip that switch, that'll open up one of the other two doors, and so we'll come through, and we'll be like, oh, it's this one, cool, we'll flip the switch. And then the last door will open, and then the last one's a little tricky because it doesn't go anywhere, but there is something in that room. I was thinking that final switch could be what opens up the way down into like the temple, and I'm thinking because we have all the space out on this side, we can turn this something over here, like a little mausoleum or something. Maybe this is like a miniature graveyard. I kind of don't want to put a graveyard in because there's literally a graveyard outside of town that direction. So I don't want to include another graveyard right here, but probably would include something here. Maybe it'll be like a little small stone house, and that would be like where the caretaker once lived, who took care of this temple. And inside of their house will be the entranceway down underground into the dungeon. Now, you probably have noticed this carrot on a stick that's named Wrench. Apparently the custom item requires a texture pack that does not come with the actual download of the data pack, so it's just a carrot on a stick. But that is the wrench. That's how we rotated these blocks in here. It's super simple, and you just right click and they rotate perfectly fine. So that's pretty great. But I think that's going to be it for today's episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's episode with our Temple of Time. With this being up, I don't know if I talked about the horse stables or not, actually. Yeah, I built horse stables in the farmer's house, just in case I hadn't mentioned that. But in next episode, we are definitely going to set up all the redstone to get access to the dungeon area, and we're going to start working on the dungeon. That seems like the most appropriate, best step to follow up this episode with, getting the Temple of Time's dungeon in place. So super excited about that. Hope you guys are excited about it. And as always, well, as of recently, if you guys have made it to the end of the videos, let me know down in the comments down below. I have a very special thing for you inside of this dungeon, for this temple actually, is where we're going to be including special shoutouts for what's typically supposed to be for my Patreons, but I'm extending the privilege / award, or however you guys see it, to anybody who sticks through to the ends of my videos and hears me say this bit. So if you made it to the end of this video, just say something down below, something along the lines of like, why polar bears are the best, and I will know that you definitely heard to the end of this video, and I'll be sure to get you included in the little monument area that will be inside of this dungeon that we're starting next episode. So that's gonna be it for today's episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you like, subscribe if you haven't, share with your friends, hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next one.